Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Gabriel Knight, the 20th Anniversary Edition. Last time, they closed the case for some reason, so we need to convince them to open it again. But before we do that, we actually have another errand to run. So let's watch him very slowly exit out of the door. Alright. And then... let's head on over to... let's see, it might be out here a bit. Grandma Knight's house.
Gabriel, I'm so glad you stopped by.
Oh, sorry it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give me a kiss.
Now come on, sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
Okay, I think that's, Jane Jensen right there. I think that's a picture of Jane Jensen, the creator of Gabriel Knight. That's pretty cool.
Grandmother Knight rarely uses the fireplace these days. Too much of a hassle to clean.
Yeah, I don't think it gets too cold, this far south.
Gran has a way with plants and kids. Gran's knitting. She whips through that stuff like there was no tomorrow.
Just like my mom.
Still, Gran is knitting? How low can you get?
Oh, we just wanted to borrow it.
Gabriel doesn't knit? Okay, so Gran did teach him once, but he hasn't done it in years.
Oh, I'd love to see Gabriel knit.
On the wall are portraits of Gran and Granddad when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. On the wall are portraits of Gran and Granddad.
Oh, okay.
Gabriel.
Same thing, okay.
Gabriel grew up in this room. Just being here makes him feel safe. And after about 5 minutes, claustrophobic.
I've got this bong-looking thing down here, but we can't look at it.
That clock has been in the Wright family, Granny's family, for centuries. Granny doesn't like anyone messing with her clock, including Gabriel.
Alright, well let's talk to Grandma Knott herself.
That's my Gran. Adorable as always.
Oh, you're such a tease.
Whoa, she's hearing his inner monologue.
Hey, that's my Gran. Show some respect. How have you been, Gran?
Just fine, dear. I'm sorry I bothered you at work, but, I was hoping you'd get a chance to go through your father's things in the attic.
Don't be silly. You can call me anytime.
Of course. Oh, there we go. So we have a lot to talk about. Our dialogue options just keep getting longer and longer.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? What an odd question, Gabriel. Of course, you always were interested in monster movies and all that other weird stuff. You get that from your father and Granddad. I don't know anything about it, dear. Of course, it was very big in New Orleans at one time, but you don't hear so much about it these days. Too much else in the world to worry about, I guess.
Yeah, about that.
What can you tell me about the voodoo murders?
Oh, Gabriel, nothing. And I don't want to. I sometimes wonder what this world is coming to.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is very southern, of course, though not as much as it used to be when I was a girl. It's gotten much more influenced by the East Coast and that California stuff. Still, it hasn't changed as much as other places, I reckon. We've always been happy here.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that California influence creeping in. I used to live there. It's not that great.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
My goodness, boy, you lived here all your life, just like me. I can't tell you much that you don't already know.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? I remember when I was a girl, we always had a St. John's Eve Mass. The mass was said at midnight, and we held candles. One time, on the way home, we were waylaid by a large group of drunken revelers. They didn't hurt us, but I was frightened. My father was furious. We never went to St. John's Eve Mass after that.
Yeah, that's what alcohol does to people. Makes them a bit crazy.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I haven't celebrated it in years, Gabriel. I'm sure there's still Mass in the more traditional churches, but I don't go.
Have you ever heard of Marie Laveau?
Marie Laveau? Oh, of course. She was that voodoo woman, wasn't she? She preyed on people's fears and superstitions, is what I think. There are always those willing to take other people's money for nothing. You stay away from people like that, Gabriel.
Yes, Gran. Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? What kind of snakes, dear?
I don't know, local kinds.
Well, we used to get cottonmouths in the park when I was a girl, but I haven't heard of one being sighted for years. Milk snakes and garter snakes are also around these parts, but they can't hurt you.
Thanks, Gran.
Yeah, gopher snakes around here. They're friendly little guys. As friendly as a snake can be.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
Why, no, dear. Do you mean Mardi Gras masks?
Never mind, Gran. Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo hound fall?
Gabriel, my goodness. What are you up to these days?
Oh, nothing, Gran, really.
You'd better not be. You know you're the only family I have left.
I know, Gran. It's okay.
Alright.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
I don't know much about any kind of voodoo, Gabriel.
I don't think she's gonna give us much in the way of answers for these, but we want to go through these anyway, just for completion's sake.
Does the phrase Cabri Sanko mean anything to you?
Something without something, I think. Oh, my French is so rusty, I swear my mind is going.
No, it's okay. Thanks. Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
What, dear?
Never mind.
Yeah, I would just say, bless you.
Have you ever heard of Dambala?
What, dear?
Never mind. Tell me about yourself.
Me? Surely you have something more interesting to talk about.
No, come on, Gran.
Oh, all right, dear. What do you want to hear?
We get to hear all about Granny.
What do you do all day?
You know how I love to knit and work in my garden. I also take long walks. It's the only way to keep an old body like mine from stiffening up.
You're not old.
Oh, don't be foolish. I'm older than the hills.
Tell me about before you met Granddaddy.
Well, you know I was born Rebecca Wright. My daddy owned a lot of land outside of town. We grew peas and corn and cotton, all kinds of things. It was a good childhood, but my father was very strict. He didn't much let me out of his sight.
It's one of those.
Tell me how you met Granddaddy.
Oh, I met Helson at a church revival. There was a traveling preacher back then, a big fella named Reverend Jim. I even remember his slogan, "Come to me to find your way." Your granddad was sitting right behind me and my girlfriend, Alma. And at one point, old Reverend Jim was flinging his hair around with his fine brimstone annex. And a piece of it, one of those small add-on do's for men, went flying off. I swear, Helson and I were the only ones that noticed. We both started laughing to beat the band. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple of loonies. Oh, it was then I knew that he was from me.
How you feeling these days?
Fit as a fiddle, and don't you worry your head about it.
Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22. The doctors told me I couldn't have any more after him, so I'm afraid I spoiled him rotten.
Aw, that's too bad.
Just tell me anything at all.
I hate to admit it, but I was a jealous little thing when your granddaddy and I were younger. I loved him so ferociously, and he did attract the eyes of the ladies whether he wanted to or not.
Just tell me anything at all.
I get lonely sometimes, but I have lots of girlfriends in the neighborhood. I call one of them if I'm feeling blue.
That's good. You don't want to be alone in your old age.
Just tell me anything at all.
I wish you'd settle down and give me a great-grandchild.
Oh, Gran. Just tell me anything at all.
I never loved any man but your grandfather. And I never will.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
You know, you get prettier every time I see you.
Oh, you.
Have you baked any of your incredible molasses pies lately?
No, dear. But you let me know when you want some and I'll whip up a half a dozen.
You've lost weight. Are you courting a new man?
Oh, Gabriel. Don't be silly. You know there'll never be anyone but your granddad for me.
Your hair looks very pretty today, Gran.
Well, thank you, dear. So does... Well, you've always had such nice, thick hair, Gabriel.
I still do like Gabriel's hair better as it was originally. I wish they recreated that a bit better.
You know, I always tell people that my Gran is the prettiest grand old belle in the city.
Oh, dear. You shouldn't talk so.
Yeah, I think they kind of modeled it more after the Gabriel Knight 3 model. Which is fine, I guess. A bit more continuity.
What's new, Gran?
I've been working on baby sweaters for the church bazaar. Keeps me busy.
Done anything interesting lately?
I raised you.
Lately, Gran.
Oh, you know me, Gabriel. I always got my nose poked at something.
It must run in the family. You're looking well, Gran.
Oh, thanks, dear.
Is there anything you need?
Me? No, I'm just fine, Gabriel. I have more than enough of everything.
Nice weather.
Oh, Gabriel, please. It's been just awful. Muggiest summer of my life.
Are you okay, Gran?
I'm right as rain, boy.
Tell me about our family.
Who would you like to hear about? Your granddad, your father, or your mother?
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad immigrated to America when he was 21. He walked his way through school, met and married me, and we had your father, Philip.
Oh, so my grandfather is an immigrant here. Interesting.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad supported me and your father with bookkeeping. Oh, I'll tell you what, though, he hated every minute of it. Didn't really like bookkeeping one bit. Maybe that was why he had the worst luck with jobs. Oh, the nights he'd come home afraid to tell me he lost another. And I'd tell him it didn't matter to me, but he felt ashamed, Gabriel.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Harrison was only 36 when he died. Your father was 8 years old at the time. Your granddad was hit by a streetcar in the business district. It took me nearly a year to believe he was really gone.
I'm sorry, Gran.
Oh, I know you are, dear.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Did you know that your granddad was a poet? He was. He wrote the most beautiful poetry for me when we were courting. I always thought he should have done something with that gift, but he was such a practical man. Didn't believe in chasing after dreams.
Oh yeah, we did see that book of poetry he had.
Tell me about my father.
Your father was my only child. How we adored him.
Tell me about my father.
Philip suffered from terrible nightmares, just like your granddad did. Oh, they were two peas in a pod.
Nightmares? So my grandfather, my father, and now me. Uh-oh.
Tell me about my father.
When Philip met your mother, Oh, it was love at first sight. They were married 2 weeks later. Never looked at a girl seriously until then, and he looked at plenty. You have your father's way with women, Gabriel. And your granddad's.
She knows he's a player.
Tell me about my father.
I wanted to just lay down and die when he and your mother were killed in that car crash when you were only 8. It was the thought of taking care of you that kept me going, Gabriel. The police said your father swerved off the road after being frightened by something. Perhaps a deer on the road, or wildcat.
Huh, I wonder.
Tell me about my father.
Your granddad wanted Philip to have a normal life. He was obsessed by that thought. He pushed Philip to go to law school, but Philip was driven to art. He painted almost in a daze. He would get so inside himself when he worked.
Yeah, we've also seen some of that around the bookstore.
Tell me about my father.
He always hated that it was Margaret's money that supported the 3 of you when his painting couldn't. I kept telling him, try something more cheerful, like a landscape or 2, but he couldn't do it. His work was just too dark and disturbing for the public, you know.
Oh, he was just a bit before his time, that's all. People would eat that stuff up nowadays.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother was Margaret Templeton when your father met her. She came from a very wealthy Creole family in New Orleans. She was beautiful and reckless. She was madly in love with your father, of course, but I also think she liked defying her family. Since you're so interested in family history these days, why don't you go by St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 and visit the family tomb? It would be such a sweet gesture.
It's just past the Ross tomb, right? Oh, maybe I will.
Alright.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother's family refused to give her money after the marriage. All she had left was a modest trust fund from her great aunt, who happened to like Philip. The remainder of your mother's trust fund became yours when she died. That's what you used to open your bookshop.
Tell me about my mother.
The Templetons are all gone now. Every last one of them. Oh, they never wanted anything to do with us, of course. What a waste.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
Well, that's all we could do, but let's go up to the attic, because that's where our father's stuff is.
I'm gonna go up to the attic, Gran.
Be careful of the dust.
Alright. Check things out here.
It's an old dress dummy that Gran had in her sewing room years ago.
My first impression of the female form. Do I really look that desperate? I think I'll leave that up here.
These old picture frames have been up here for years.
I think I'll leave that up here.
Yeah, there's not much in here we can do.
That box of knickknacks has been up here for at least 5 years.
There's nothing I want in there.
A skylight lets welcome sunlight into the attic.
So there's a trunk here.
The old trunk looks like it's gone to hell and back.
It looks pretty heavy.
I'm not gonna pick that up, but let's open it up.
There's a lot of Granddad's old stuff in here. Might be something interesting.
Alright. So we can move stuff around to take a look. What's this now? What's all you? There's a German Shepherd, there's a Nutcracker, a Stein. Doesn't look like we can really look at this stuff. Let's
A
get
bundle of letters. Love letters between Harrison and Rebecca. More of Harrison Knight's German books.
Just what I need.
some old clothes, including a pair of leather shorts.
Aren't those called lederhosen?
So yeah, from the grandfather since he was German. What's this?
What's this? It's some sort of key.
Alright. So we have a key here. Now let's take a look at this clock.
An elaborate mechanical clock, probably of German origin, is among the discarded treasures of the attic.
And
I think I'll leave that up here.
What is this? We have some symbols here.
There's an interesting design in the base of the clock.
Interesting. Now this is a very obtuse puzzle. They've even kept it sort of obtuse here in this game, apparently.
The face of the clock is hand-painted. A ring of 6 symbols surrounds the face of the clock. A sword, a sun, an angel, a noose, an eclipse, and a dragon. The ring of symbols doesn't appear to have any mechanical function, but it does move.
Now, if you've been paying enough attention, we actually have come across another reference to a dragon at the. This was actually back in episode 1, I think. When we were looking through our grandfather's poetry, we came across a poem called Drei Drachen. If you use the German English dictionary that is in there, that actually translates to 3 dragons. I could go back and show you that, but that's just going to be useless. So we can solve the puzzle now. So 3 dragon. So that means that we have the dragon here. We have 3 here. So we want to drag this around. Get to 3 dragon.
There's an interesting design in the base of the clock.
And oh, there's a keyhole.
A keyhole sits empty on the side of the clock.
So we have 3 o'clock and we have the dragon. Let's see if this works.
Nothing happens.
Perhaps I didn't do that right. Oh. I have to put the dragon on top, I guess. So I had that a little bit wrong. So we have that 3 o'clock dragon.
The
There
key
we
wants
go.
the clock's mechanism.
Granddaddy, you old fox.
So let's take a look. So yeah, 1 reference to a dragon, that 3 dragon, is supposed to get you to solve that puzzle.
The letter is written in German, but Gabriel determines what he can about it. It was sent from a place called Schloss Ritter in Rittersberg, West Germany. The letter is addressed to mein Sohn Heinz and signed Wilhelm Ritter. One of the reoccurring words strewn throughout the letter is the word Schattenjäger. The only other thing that Gabriel can decipher about the letter is a sense of urgency in the handwriting and in the heavy use of a quill tip, bold strokes, and underlining.
Interesting. What does Schattenjäger mean? So we got that, and we also got the photo here. Oh, whoops.
The back of the photo has the following written on it. Schloss Ritter, 1925.
Interesting. I wonder if this is grandfather and his family. Oh, there's a
It's
golf bag here.
Granddaddy's old golf bag. Golf was never my game.
This reminds
I'm
me of
not
going-
sure what my game was, but it wasn't golf.
Yeah, this reminds me of going through my grandfather's old stuff. He had tons and tons of golf stuff, fishing stuff, trap shooting stuff.
Grandma's attic is a storehouse of forgotten treasures and useless junk.
Is it Fedora here?
It's a lady's hat from the 1920s.
And
Oh,
from
look.
Grand's Virginia Woolf period. I think I'll leave that up here.
Anyway, let's talk to Granny a bit more. We might have a couple more questions for her.
Can we talk, Gran?
Of course, my boy. How can I help?
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
Schottenjäger? Schottenjäger? Oh, how odd, Gabriel. I haven't heard that word in years. My goodness, you've given me a chill. Your granddad used to say that sometimes in his sleep.
Really? Do you know what it means?
No, I'm afraid not. I asked him about it once. I don't think he answered me. Odd.
Huh. Thanks, Gran.
What's the deal with that?
Do you know anyone named Heinz Ritter?
Heinz Ritter. Oh, Gabriel. Where did you hear that name?
I found a letter in Granddaddy's clock.
Oh, I promised I'd never tell you or your father, but I suppose it doesn't matter now.
Tell me, Gran.
Your granddad's name was Heinz Ritter before he came to America. He changed it to Harrison Knight legally when he arrived.
Very interesting.
Why did Granddad change his name?
I don't know. I tried to ask him about his family and his life before America, but he didn't want to talk about it. He never even told me about his name change. I found out one day when I saw his passport in a drawer. Since he obviously found it painful, I never questioned him about it. But I'm sure it wasn't trouble with the law. Your granddad was the best man I ever knew.
And yeah, we've been getting calls from a guy named Wolfgang Ritter, who says he's our uncle, so I guess he's telling the truth.
Didn't Granddad ever say anything about his past or his family?
Only that his family was crazy and that he never wanted to see them again. He believed in some family curse. Thought that he could spare Philip and Philip's children from what he called old nightmares. Whatever Harrison wanted to spare you, though. It cost him plenty. He never did sleep well, and he would often get a far-away, guilty look in his eyes. He was wrestling with something he thought he should be doing, someplace he thought he ought to be. I don't know how he could think that he should be anywhere but with me and our child. It's a terrible way to live.
Do you know anyone named Wolfgang Ritter?
Wolfgang Ritter? Oh, no, dear.
Huh. Odd.
As I said, your granddad's surname was originally Ritter.
So I guess he never talked about Wolfgang.
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
So we've taken sort of a break from the Voodoo Murders case to learn more about our family. And is there something more that lies at our tomb that can help us figure out a bit more in depth about his history? Well, let's find out next time on Let's Play Gabriel Knight, the 20th Anniversary Edition. Thank you for watching and have a good day.